I believe I'm recording now. I'm not entirely sure. So, yep, pause recording, stop recording. So, hey guys, wanted to say thank you. I want to talk to you in regards to your house. Haven't had a chance to talk to you today. I did sneak some information yesterday just about myself and my team, and houses that we listed that were similar. Here is your beautiful home here, Oak Shore Drive. So here are the photos. This is Zillow. Zillow saying it's worth 682. You guys do have the ability to change that, FYI, slightly if you take liberties. Open up the owner's view. You guys could change some things. So like in the past, people who had an office and they labeled it a bedroom instead because it could technically be a bedroom. And those are the sort of changes you'd want to make in order to boost that. So as high as you can get that, the better. And then here is the listing that you've had with your previous realtor. So I'm looking. I want you guys to look at the data that I'm looking at in the same light that I'm looking at it, so that we understand what we're talking about here. And so the way that I look at any house is it starts from what's happening on a national level, and then what's happening on a local level, and what's happening in your specific neighborhood, and then what are the defining features of your specific house. So it's kind of a targeted approach here for us to come up with a broad strokes all the way down to fine strokes of how we're going to go about getting a home sold and pricing it correctly to do that, so that you guys make as much money as possible with the least amount of time possible. So first thing, I just wanted to, national stuff here, okay? This is big picture stuff. Here are how the majority of the people that are finding their houses. As you can see, the internet's winning, and it's winning a lot. It's killing or squeezing out yard signs. Not that yard signs aren't important, it's just not where people are finding the majority of their houses, and the newspapers are going away. Then you have buyers using a buyer's agent. So the majority of the buyers, 90% of them, almost 90%, are using an agent to find and to use to purchase a home. So the buyer's agents are actually our number one group of people we want to target to. And then also, we have days on market. So as we can see, the days on market average in Kalamazoo is roughly 30 days. So we're saying it's up to 30 days in Michigan, not in Kalamazoo, in all of Michigan. So pretty good in comparison to the rest of the country. We're sitting pretty. And then we have percentage of depressed property sales. It's going down. I mean, I remember when I first started in the business, we're talking 35%. I started about in 2011. So when I first started, it was 30% of every single sale was a depressed property of some kind. So foreclosure, short sale, court ordered sale, something along those lines. And this is sales or changes in sales via percentage or via sales price. And so we can see that the luxury market throughout the entire United States is down 1.5%. We can also see that $750,000 to $1 million is, it's at 8%. But keep in mind, this is national, so this is including New York, Florida, California. All of those numbers are included in here. And I don't know if you've ever been to those places. I'm sure that you have. You're in Texas now, so I'm sure you're very clear what you can buy in Texas for $750,000 in comparison to what you can buy here are night and day. And really, we breach the luxury market quite a bit earlier than those other areas, other geographic areas I mentioned. So we're looking at, realistically, I think in Kalamazoo, we start hitting the luxury market around 500,000. The average price is around 250. You double that, that's when you kind of start getting to that luxury market area. And so your house is well above that. So I would say that the sales are down in your area in that price point, which is what you've experienced, especially with it being on the market. And I'm sure it's frustrating to not have your home sold yet. It's just not a good feeling, and I can appreciate it. So, and then next one is house supply and demand year over year. As you can see, we are still going down in supply nationally. So the next thing we're going to talk about is foot traffic. People like to say you can't sell your house in the winter, can't sell it in the winter. Well, foot traffic kind of disagrees with you. We can see we have a pretty stable year over year amount of people looking through the house. Now, there is some decreases, like in October, we had almost no one looking at houses, and I can't even tell you why. But for the most part, I mean, we're seeing a pretty stable amount of showings. We get this information from the lock boxes. So it's pretty reliable data. Realtors should be showing the properties in order to make that happen, to access those kind of lock boxes. And the next thing I want to talk about is the average price. And I'm sure you guys are aware of this. So this could just be a review, but Portage Schools, we're looking at $233,000 is the average. So as you're well aware, we would have to get 3 of these average buyers to get together, pool their money to be able to purchase and afford your house. So which is one of the reasons why it's challenging. If we keep looking down here, we will see Portage Schools, we're looking at 200,000 is the average. And so this is the piece of data that I find to be the most relevant, okay? Especially when it comes to selling your house, not just trying to get like a refinance or a mortgage or whatever, but actually trying to move it. If we look at, so we're going to take a look at Portage here. This is called the absorption rate, okay? This is the graph that mentions. So basically, if you give a house in a geographic area and a certain price range, we should come up with a relatively good idea of how long it takes for that house to sell. So they do the same thing in grocery stores. Like they try to figure out how much bread they need to buy. And so they kind of base it on previous demand, what would their bread consumption was, so they don't overstock. So we do the same thing here, okay? We take a look at what were the average rate of sales, how many of them sold, how many sold annually, how many months of inventory do we have based on that, and then we can figure out what the average amount of time it takes for a home to sell. So we're looking at 5 months for a house between $500,000 and $1 million. Now that's quite a bit of leeway there. I mean, that's $500,000 of leeway, and this is also including houses that are on lakes. So your house is non-waterfront. So this doesn't relate directly, but what it's encouraging is to know that people are purchasing houses within your price range, and typically the average house is going to stick around about 5 months. Now, if we take a look, so for example, like if we look at Plainwell, we're looking at, if you're a $1 million house, you're going to be on the market 9 months. If you're in Schoolcraft, $1 million house, don't exist. 4 of them are on the market, none of them sold in the past year. So it's good information to know. The next thing is we're going to look at North Portage, however you want to define it, not necessarily encapsulating only in the school district, but we take a look at this, and we're looking at there are 11 sales, annual rate, or the annual rate of sales 8. There's 11 on the market, 16 months of inventory, and then so the average is boiling down to about 8.2 months. So not terrible numbers here. I mean, this is doable. This is better than what I originally anticipated, but I'm going to move into your area specifically. So this is the database in which all of the information that Zillow, Trulia, Homes.com, Realtor.com, this is where they pull all their data from. This is probably their biggest data source right here. And so I can explain that on the back end, but it's not relevant for right now. The point is if I take a look at every single house that's $700,000 and above, the non-waterfront in the greater Kalamazoo area, so this is what we would consider the greater Kalamazoo area, we're looking at 19 active homes on the market. So, I mean, not many, okay? It would be, the higher this number is, the worse it is for you guys. It would be better if it was 2, let's just say, and your house would be 1 of 3. There were 12 sales, so not terrible. So basically, if this average amount of sales stay the same, 12 per year, and so roughly 1 month, it should take about 19 months for every single house to be off the market. That's kind of the theory that we're working with here. So again, not terrible. I mean, realistically, if looking about 1 a month, there's no reason why we couldn't position your house to be one of those houses that sell a month. And keep in mind, these 19 people, the 19 homes are your competitors. We're trying to compete. Thanks, Internet. The reminder. We're trying to compete. Like, these are your competitors. And so whenever someone else sells your house, I want to find out why. If a buyer purchases your home or purchases someone else's home other than yours, I need to find out why. What the heck's going on? But this is probably the most discouraging number here. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but if we look at every single house within that price range that we've talked about with no non-waterfront, I mean, we're looking, we have one pending. So it takes about 2 months to go take a pending from a sale. And so we're roughly, if this trend continues throughout the rest of the year, we're going to be looking at only about 6 sales per year. We have 20 on the market, and we're assuming 19 on the market. You're going to be number 20. We're assuming that no other house is going to come on the market, and we still only have a 1 in 3 chance of your home selling. If we just don't do anything different or unique, if we just go on the same way we've been going on. So now I want to talk about marketing a little bit more. And so these were your 2 houses. I don't have a lot of data sheets for what I'm talking about, but one of the things that I want to do is, obviously everyone talks about flyers, so what they don't talk about is what the heck are they for and what do they say? Well, there needs to be data in this sheet and available online through our private resources, that information that they couldn't get otherwise through Zillow and Trulia. And so what we don't need to do is more bedrooms, more baths, blah, blah, blah. Like, what we need to do is make an emotional appeal, and we need to establish trust and reliability. And trust, reliability, and an emotional appeal is what creates urgency and makes people want to buy. People trust branding. So we know Berkshire Hathaway has a big brand, right? People trust that, but people trust experts, and people trust warranties, and people trust inspections, and people trust appraisers. So what if we can get all of these experts on your side prior to the home being marketed or prior to an offer coming in? We're going to benefit. So what we do is we take a buyer and we kind of imagine what they could potentially be concerned about, every question and variable they have, because every single I don't know is a no. It's not a maybe, it's a no. And so we eliminate the I don't knows. We make a fast track for them to be able to say yes, because we establish a high amount of trust. And I'm going to explain that. So for example, if you're going to purchase a vehicle and you had 2 vehicles of the identical year, identical color, and identical condition, and one of them had a warranty on it, it had a 10-point inspection or a 100-point inspection from a dealer or from a reputable mechanic, and the other one had nothing, which one would you be more likely to pay full price for? Probably the one that had the extra information with it, so you could purchase with more confidence. So we do the exact same thing. I call it a certified pre-owned purchase. And what we do is we go talk to an appraiser. We get an appraiser to value it where you need to value it. That's available. We go through a home inspector. The home inspector says everything's fine, and she's a licensed builder. Any repairs that need to be done are made up front. And of course, I know what you're thinking. I don't need to do any of this stuff because, well, our house is perfect and we know it's worth what it is. And you're probably right. The problem is someone who doesn't know you doesn't know that. And so we're using expert third-party authority to leverage your house. That's one way we're going to get it to sale. That's one way. If people are looking at 2 homes and they see yours and they see someone else's, they may say yes to yours and no to someone else's, which is exactly what we need to do. The next thing, which we're going to do, is we're going to get, and this is in this pamphlet here, is we have testimonials. I don't know if you can read that. Lighting's terrible. We have testimonials from your neighbors. Okay, so now people are establishing trust. We have community trust for your neighbor, from your neighbor. So what's the neighborhood like? That's the next thing people want to know, because we want to establish this so people are imagining their life in your home. That's how we're going to win. And so I need the numbers to every single one of your neighbors that you have the numbers to. And if you don't get them, that's fine. We'll door knock them. We'll get the interviews that we need. But what we need is interviews. And we need them to, and then we also ask them if they happen to know someone that wants to move into the neighborhood. Oh, and just so happens we have a house that's coming on the market. So now we have community trust, We have testimonials from a third party. We have authoritative trust, and we have third parties that we're leveraging that for your house. And then, so those things. Okay. And then obviously we take professional photos, we market it as well as we can so that it looks beautiful online. And then the next thing we do, and we also do it in the pamphlet and online, we make an emotional appeal. I don't know anyone that's making an emotional appeal to anyone to purchase a house. Because keep in mind, when people purchase houses, they're not just purchasing 3 beds, 2 baths. They're not purchasing 4 beds, 3 baths. They're not purchasing a 500,000 square foot structure. They're purchasing a home. This has an emotional appeal to them. They have an idea. They have a vision. We need to establish that vision and differentiate the features of your house so that someone else says yes to your house and no to someone else's. And so how do we do that? Well, we write something. We make a media release with the pictures of your home and then what you guys specifically loved about the house. And so when we package all of these things together, we just raise the bar in the likelihood of you selling it. We raise the desirability of your house, okay? That's what we do. And so that would be my marketing plan. Now, I don't necessarily have a price yet for your home. I haven't seen the inside of the house. So it's not fair for me to give you guys a price right now. And to be honest with you, I don't know how. I believe my marketing does a lot when it comes to getting deals done, a lot. And so because I know that to be true, it's hard for me to judge your current price with marketing other than mine, if that makes sense. So, but anyway, that's the nuts and bolts of what I want to do. So I want to establish trust in your community. So I want the people to look at your house and have trust in it. I want other experts to leverage those so that people have a higher degree of trust. I want to disclose every single question that a buyer could ask. Water heater, how is my water heater? How is my furnace? How is my roof? Do any of these need to be replaced? What were the heating bills? Everything you need to know. And then I want to make an emotional appeal. Why was this house the house for you? Why did you guys love this house? And is it possible that they could love the same thing? You know, so that's in the nutshell what we're trying to do. And there's more conversations to be had and there's more logistics to hammer out here. So give me a call after you take a look at it. My number's on my email. I appreciate you guys, and I'm going to figure out how to get off this.